Welcome, everybody. I am Terry Dockery. I have a doctorate, and people call me Doc, so that makes me Dr. Doc Dockery. This is our Scaling Skills, new academic year of our Scaling Skills Master's degree, 12 half-hour presentations based on the 12 chapters of my book, Leadership, Happiness, and Profit, 12 Steps to a High-Performance Business. Um, so we're glad you're here. I'm recording the session, so please mute yourselves to minimize background noise, and I will post the edited video on my YouTube channel if you want to see that later. Please hold your questions to the end, and if we have time, we'll get to them, and if not, please feel free to contact me after the presentation. Be happy to talk to you with you then. All right, rolling on. So if you don't know me, Ph.D. in industrial organizational psychology, people call me Doc. I I decided to paid my way through school selling men's clothes, liked business, had a weird family, wanted to study psychology. So that made me motivated to go into industrial organizational psychology. I've been called one of the top business scaling up experts in the country by a long-term client. I used to do Fortune 500 consulting, now moved down to small to medium businesses so I don't have to travel so much, and I didn't miss my kids growing up. We've doubled revenue and self-confidences many times over in my career. It's a lot of fun. And I specialize in family business work, which takes a special skill set. I've been happily in love for more than 40 years. I got three grown millennials, proud of them. I got three cute grandchildren. That's our crew up there at the top. This was some years ago when they all thought it would be fun to put on fake mustaches and give me a hard time. And then there's the grandkids down there. I taught Shaquille O'Neal when he was at LSU. I'll take full credit for all his success. We won the Lucille Award from B.B. King in 1988 as the best amateur blues band in the country. I still put the harm in harmonica for bands around town. One time I hitchhiked from Berkeley, California to Augusta, Georgia to beg my dad for money. So I've taken lots of risks in my life. The goal of the master's degree is to give you the skills to scale up an organization while living a happy life. I think if you're not aiming for happiness as the final lagging indicator, I feel like you're missing the point. I know plenty of rich, miserable people. We'll talk about that another time. So the goal of the class number one is learn powerful habits to strengthen the most important skill that you'll ever need, which is happiness. The top three takeaways: being rich and happy are not the same thing. You live in the United States of America, where we tend to confuse those things, but actually the uber wealthy are the least happy people in America. It's more about balance. There are four major sources of happiness, and optimizing balance among them is what leads to sustainable happiness. So think about it. If you're not going to change anything, you're going to get the same thing you've always gotten. So if you learn something new or get an inspiration today, jump on it, do some experimentation, see what you can change. So in my work, there are three main components to scaling up businesses: the right business model or strategy, having the right team in place, and then having them work well together. And so I'm going to talk about how you harness happiness to make all that happen. This is my book. We're on chapter one. As you can see there, it's available on Amazon. This is a completely objective book review from my mom, who thought it was the best book ever written, kept them on her coffee table. The drive for happiness is the most powerful force on earth. So why not harness it for business success? And that sounds like such a no-brainer, but I get calls all the time with people who think they can, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Method of leadership is going to get them better results, and it really doesn't. So, so here's the harness happiness success chain. If you're happy and your employees are happy, then your customers are happy, and then you have happy, sustained profits, right? The people say the customer's always right. I disagree. If you don't take care of your employees, they're not going to take care of the customers. Once again, we're talking about balance. And so my definition of happiness is feeling good now and having expecting that you'll feel good in the future. I mean, if you do heroin, you will feel good in the moment, but probably will not have a bright future. So that's not a happy thing to do. Uh, Now, talk about happiness and excitement. You know, the happiest countries in the world tend to be the Nordic countries, well, and Costa Rica, but they tend to be shoot for contentment. Here in the States, we tend to shoot for a lot of excitement, this kind of perpetual orgasm kind of living. You know, it wears people out. And on the other end of the normal curve, which is good for measuring a lot of things and tracking balance, is depression, where you're not very happy about anything. So what we're shooting for is this contentment uh, thing in the middle here. So the four main sources of happiness: caring relationship with yourself, that is the most important one. You're with yourself 24/7, and you're either going to treat yourself well or not. Caring relationships with other people, we are pack animals that are hardwired to make close relationships with others. It's helped us survive for millennia. Work you love doing because you're going to spend a lot of time at it, and enough money to pay your bills with some left over for fun. Having a whole lot more money than that has some incremental happiness increase, but not much. And if you spend too much time thinking about money, you miss these other things that will truly make you happy. So balance really is the key among those four sources. But once again, being good to yourself is the number one thing that matters the most. Okay. So I call that the principle of balance and justification, or PB&J. So, like I said, a lot of things track well on the normal curve. So you can have too little or too much of anything, and balance among those sources gives you the best results. Um, I'm a big fan of Stephen Covey, and he always said, start with the end in mind. So you're going to die one day, best I can tell. And Bronnie Ware did she was a hospice worker, and she said these are the top five regrets of the dying. This is about being having courage to be true to yourself, not working too hard, courage to express your feelings, staying in touch with loved ones, and then basically just deciding that it's important to be happy and to let yourself be happier. Those are the things you don't want to happen. So, how do we make that happen? One thing is the retirement myth that we have here in America. People, especially high achievers, like probably most of the folks on this call, work too hard during your career. You think you're going to catch up on fun when you retire and have plenty of money. And then you're going to spend your wealth trying to buy, pay off your ex-spouses because you've ruined your family life and trying to buy your health back. Once again, what I'm pitching here is balance and happiness along the way. And it's easily done if you know which levers to pull. So once again, you're with yourself 24/7. How you treat yourself really determines everything that happens after that. Self-care skills. Uh, Put on your oxygen mask before you help other people. I mean, there are certain philosophies that say put others before yourself. I think it's bad psychology. You can't pour from an empty cup. And the model of human behavior that I like best to explain what people do is really transactional analysis. I think it was 70s or 80s, Eric Berne and others, where it's really Freudian psychology with layman's terms put on it. Like, so as the kid, say you're 6 years old, you are just have a bunch of feelings. The pleasure principle, this feels good. You're hungry. You want to eat. You feel better. Life's really simple that way. And then as you get older, let's say in your family, you are first acculturated into your first culture, which is your family culture. And there are rules, shoulds and oughts. We eat together as a family at 6, right? That's a rule. And then as you continue to mature, you develop this thinking part of yourself, this logic about which moderates between the needs of the kid or the wants and then the rules of the parent or the culture you're living in. And so you're thinking, uh, let's say you're hungry It's 5 o'clock. You go to one of your parents and say, "Hey, I'd love to have a snack." And they say, "Well, no, you can't have a snack because we eat together as a family at 6." Well, the kid, the feeling part of you, is frustrated, and you plug into your starting to develop your adult. You say, "Well, shoot, um, let's see, mom's can't see me from the kitchen where the cookie jar is. Maybe I could sneak a cookie. Nobody'd be hurt. I'd be fine. I could get my hunger needs met. Or maybe I could negotiate for a healthy snack and they'd go for that." So you see, that's how people work. So, and why is this important? When I walk into a boardroom and looking at the president and the VPs, I'm seeing 6-year-old kids because that kid really never grows up inside of us. I mean, does this leader are they massively insecure and need constant reassurance? Are they domineering because they're afraid of losing control? Are they too nice and too nurturing and won't be assertive about what their needs are? Those are kid-driven, emotional-driven behaviors. And for instance, an alcoholic. Why does an alcoholic continue to drink when they know it's bad for them? Well, there's some need that the kid is having that they're trying to that's the best way they found to make the kid feel better, at least temporarily. It's really a robust model for understanding, especially why people do strange things that seem not to serve their best interest. So once again, we are feeling beings that think. We're not thinking beings that feel. Every good salesperson knows this. People buy from somebody they like and they trust, as long as you've got a decent product that meets their needs. And most of your what people call personality or thinking and feeling habits are shaped when you're a child. You learn to adapt and survive in the environment you're in, and it works great or as good as it can. Then you get to be an adult and you do some things that people think look really strange. So therapy and coaching and so forth is about updating those files and those habits to get you better results as an adult. And so what you're doing is integrating your rational and your emotional selves. The kid wants something, the adult figures out what's the best way to get it. One of the things that I found really helpful in my therapy, be artful with your anger. So anger is just another form of energy. It's very powerful. It's what you do with it that matters, right? In my family, we were told that anger was bad, which is not a healthy way to look at it. It's good, useful energy. It's that if you use your anger constructively, you stop, you think, you come up with an action plan to get what you want. So the guy that I worked with in my therapy, Jerry Donovan, always said, "Be artful with your anger." Now, any kind of changing, we're talking about changing, getting better. Um, when you start changing your behavior, let's say you're used to getting angry and just blasting people because that's what was done in your family, right? Um, and then somebody says, "Hey, why don't you just take a beat, think about it, and then do something that's smarter, that really more likely to get you what you want." Well, when you make those kind of changes, they are very scary because that 6-year-old kid inside you, that didn't work. And it's an emotional thing that, so, well, that's very risky to be changing my behavior. The Jerry used to talk about it. He said, like, it's like being on a trapeze way up in the top of the circus tent, and somebody's down there below saying, "Oh, hey, the show's over. There's a net down there. Just go ahead and turn loose." And you look down and you don't see a net. You think it could mean sudden death, which could be the way you felt when you were 6 years old if you lived in a dangerous household, right? So when you come along and ask somebody to change their behavior, which seems like a simple, rational thing to do, it could be a whole different thing for them in terms of the emotional impact and getting past those unrealistic fears. And this is learned helplessness, basically, if you've read anything about that, that these people are so frightened with the unrealistic fears, they don't make changes and uh, wind up stuck in some bad habits. So here's your daily self fulfilling prophecy to get to be happy. A, most of your emotions, or a lot of them, are driven by how you think. If you think the world's going to be a scary, mean place, you'll find a way to it'll make you feel frightened. Uh, you'll act distant, maybe hostile toward other people, and then you won't have good relationships. So how you think, a lot of how you think drives how you feel, how you act, and then the results you get. Now, if you step in front of a moving bus, that's a real risk. That will always feel bad. But we're talking about the emotions that are driven by how you're thinking and your expectations of the future. And a lot of our emotions are driven by that process. So if you had a domineering father, you feel powerless as a child. You learn not to be assertive because you get punished for it or it doesn't work well. You start to avoid all conflict. And then you're always a doormat. That is, you're not assertive in your business negotiations or if you get a leadership role. And so you see the example, and then a coach like me will come along and say, "Hey, it's safe to be more assertive and powerful." And you think, "Well, yeah, I don't know about that. It seems awfully scary." Uh, some thinking and feeling better kind of tools. Uh, I myself practice self-therapy because I'm good at helping others. And if I find myself in a funk, I'll do like a two-chair technique and I'll say, "Wow, I'm feeling bad." And then I'll ask myself, "Hey, why are you feeling bad?" And I'll get to the root of why I'm feeling bad and what I can do to feel better. That's the two-chair technique. Journaling, writing about your feelings and thoughts. Get plenty of rest, of course, and good nutrition because if you feel bad physically, exercise. And then meditation is also a way to relax your mind. I see it as, I don't have a big philosophical view of it, but it's a great relaxation technique to kind of turn off your self dialogue so you can think more clearly and maybe think broader or more strategically in how you want to live your life. Uh, I think you need to be aware of the culture we live in. We live in the American marketing machine. It's designed to keep you unhappy, so you'll keep buying stuff. If you want to be happy, what you really need to do is buy XYZ deodorant or beer or whatever it is. So you're being bombarded pretty constantly with telling you you should be unhappy or this will make you happy. And it's good to differentiate about what you really need and what you don't. I know when I was young, there were always these beautiful young people drinking beer around a campfire on the beach. And I always thought, wow, why isn't my life like that? And perfectionism, the thing that'll destroy happiness in your personal life and in your business. Uh, Somebody said, when all else fails, lower your standards. I think it's brilliant because a lot of times when you're feeling like you're not succeeding, it's because you've set the bar too high. That's the example there. You set the bar too high, like you set a strategic plan that's unreachable, and then you beat everybody up or beat yourself up for not being able to reach those goals. The and it's the cure is obvious. You lower the bar. You lower the bar from perfection to excellence, or from perfection to progress, right? And uh, and in fact, I'm not a huge fan of stretch goals because if you set stretch goals and don't reach them in your strategic planning, people soon become discouraged and think it's all BS and they don't listen to you anymore. You're better off to set realistic goals, achieve those goals, celebrate them, and then set another achievable goal. And that keeps people motivated and on the road to scaling your business. One of the things this really applies to is self confidence. When I work with people on self confidence, if they're experiencing problems with self-confidence, it very often is because they've set the bar too high. And so they feel like they're failing when in fact, reframing it in the way they think about it, they're actually succeeding. They're just trying to do the impossible. Once again, using the normal distribution, it's about balance, right? If you don't take any risk in business, you're going to fail. If you take too much, you're going to fail. but there's some place in the middle. Moderate risk taking tends to be best for sustained success. And another thing to think about is your emotional bank account. Um, I think about it, if you're feeling bad, okay, well, are the negative withdrawals or bad things happening uh, faster than I'm putting in fun things, emotionally rewarding things? So what do I need to do? Do I need to go on vacation? Do I need to change my goals? Do I need to change my business model so that the negative withdrawals or negative feelings don't outweigh the positive ones? So here's another thing in terms of business, life, all of it. Focus on the positive and what you can control. It's like uh, this will cause you a lot of stress. Like in strategic planning, the first thing we do is do our environmental scanning about what are the external and factors, especially the ones we can't control, that may affect our ability to achieve this strategic vision we've set. So it sounds so basic, but there's a certain amount of influence or things that you can control, even though you may be concerned about the bigger picture. It's really good to get a good reality check on what you can control and factor that into your planning. And so there's 7 powerful self-care skills. We talked about self-care, the balance, put your happiness first, put yourself first, which a lot of us are trained not to do, but it's putting yourself first doesn't mean you care about your family or your loved ones or your clients any less, but you need to take care of yourself so you can take care of them. Listen to the kid. That 6-year-old kid will tell you whether you're making good choices or not, because you'll either feel good or you'll feel bad. Be artful with your anger, and remember that changing is scary. If you think that you're doing something that could be improved, but you're having trouble with it, reach out for support, friends, family, coach, whomever, and focus on the positive and what you can control and learn how to let go of the rest or you'll drive yourself nuts. Okay, once again, top 3 takeaways. Being rich and being happy aren't the same thing. It's good to have plenty of money so you don't have to worry about money. I help people do that all the time, but it doesn't mean you're going to be happy. So to me, if you're going to have the whole enchilada, you need to be have plenty of money and enjoy the ride and have a happy life. The 4 major sources of happiness we talked about, and then uh, keeping a balance among those is really the key to success there. Okay, think about what you want, whether you're getting it, how close you are. Do you need to make some tweaks? You know, if it's time for change, what's the action plan? And so if you do the same thing you're doing, you'll get the same thing you've always gotten. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? Next month, we're going to talk a little bit more about harnessing happiness with a bit more focus on caring relationships with other people and how directly it ties to techniques in business. Once again, there's the book. We'll still be on chapter 1. Um, I will put an edited uh, video of this presentation on my YouTube channel if you want to see it later or refer other folks to it. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I have a weekly newsletter, Happy Scaling Up, for small to medium businesses. We have monthly half-hour expert speakers, and and then these presentations once a month. And think about it a minute. If you're a leader, grade your organization on whether you've got the right business model or strategy, the right team and the right teamwork. Grade each one of those uh, for A through F, and you'll get some idea about what you might need to tweak to get better results.